yesterday, I think it was, about someone had a YouTube up about me about a friend of mine named Chris Jones. Chris Jones has been a friend of mine for many, many years. I've known he was railroaded completely by the system. The people who are reporting the story do not know the facts, and the people who think that I am somehow wrong for defending a child molester do not know the fact. He is not a child molester, never has been.
Dinosaur Adventureland is not safe for children. Many other witnesses remember that a child was abducted at DAL. In fact, the secretary was even concerned about it and said that the place needs to have safety protocols before any other children visit DAL. This is not just a one-time event. A child was struck by a rusty nail and had to go to the hospital. A boy was bit by a dog that had not been vaccinated for rabies. Billy, who was once a supporter of Kent Hovind and even came out against Deborah and myself before getting to know who Kent Hovind actually was shocked to hear that Kent Hovind wanted him to get in touch with one of his friends who was a convicted child molester.
It's not the Kent Hovind. They're presenting a Kent Hovind that I don't know. It accumulated to me and my wife actually going down to Dinosaur Adventureland for the weekend. It was after church on Sunday, and we were coming back from a Tractor Supply. He tells me about a fella. This fella played strip poker with two little boys, 10 and 11 years old. For anyone who goes to Dinosaur Adventureland or DAL, everyone has the right to know who might be hanging around that place. And from what I know, Chris Jones has been around that place lately, because please keep in mind that there are little kids, I mean little kids, that live on this property. You know, Department of Family and Children Services need to be called. Anyone who is following Kent at this point needs to look at Kent's friends. You know a man by their friends and who they associate with.
The next morning we show up and he's having the morning meeting and he starts talking about the child being abducted, and he gives all these theories on what happened, and he came to the conclusion that the child faked his own abduction. Now, there's no way a 5-year-old child is going to fake their own abduction and then have all kinds of bruises and scratches all over them. The child was over by the lake. They were going to pick him up on the ATV, and somebody came from out of the woods or who knows where, or somebody that was on the property. Nobody knows because the child described a black mask and blue eyes. So when they couldn't find the child, everybody took off in different directions, started chasing this child. And somebody took off running in the woods and he was never caught or something. I don't know exactly what the details are, but the police were notified. They found the child walking like aimlessly out of the woods, and he was all scratched up and had bruises and stuff on him. So obviously a child is not going to fake his own abduction. The next morning we get there and Kent is talking about the incident and telling everybody that he came to the conclusion that the child faked his own abduction. We thought that was very suspicious that Kent Hovind really didn't care. The family came all the way from Pennsylvania, originally from the Ukraine, and they ended up packing everything that they had and they left the next day. And they were not very happy. Well, I wanted to show you this. This is a testimony from a tiny dragon, Matt Stockman. I listened to your video. I am a security expert who was at DAL for a week in September. Not only do I agree with you, but I can validate some of what you say. Kent has no interest in the safety of the people at Dinosaur Adventureland.
This is not the first time this man has been there. He goes there quite regularly. This is a very serious crime. And not only that, but if he did do this, he is more susceptible to offend, because most sex offenders reoffend. All right, so like that's just, if somebody has this type of past, regardless of whether it's true or not, you have to maintain the safety of others. Somebody who has been not just alleged, but convicted of hurting little children under 12 years old. And that is the majority of children that is there. They are all under 12 years old that are living at this place. So Okay, that's just an issue in of itself. The lack of concern and the respect of the people living there at Dinosaur Adventureland. I said, the first thing out of my mouth, not, hey, how you doing? Nope. What's up with your crime? What's up with your charge, man? And he goes, oh, man, that's a long story. I said, I got nothing but time, brother. And so he was like, he started talking about how he filmed the Bohemian Grove and exposed it and sent it into Alex Jones. But you have some bad charges, man. I said, we just had a little boy die there at DAL. I was like, you don't need to be over there. I was like, DHR is investigating. I'm pretty sure they got eyes on this place. You don't need to be there with that. And I said, Doc won't tell you that. Nobody else around there is going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you. There's no protection for children there, period. Whether it be from a predator, whether it be from stepping on a nail, whether it be from drowning, there is no protection whatsoever.
The guy's name is Chris Jones. He was very unjustly prosecuted. Let's see. Anyway, he spent time in prison for child molesting and did not do any such thing. It was a setup. The boys were 10 and 11, and they refused to testify against him. He did nothing wrong, but he actually went into he got a job as working at the Bohemian Grove. That's where they make all their plans for the New World Order. And he got a job there and videotaped a bunch of stuff, and they wanted him in prison. Yeah, he lived with his family. He knew these boys. They were just horsing around, like 10 or 11 years old, doing. I don't know exact details, but let him defend himself.
Kent calls his friend, would drive in limousines when Kent would go to his city to speak at an event. This Chris Jones would pick up Kent in a black limousine, and the black limousine is what he used to fondle some children. Go look up the court transcripts. I'm not going to read it. Okay? And I'm not insinuating Kent is this type of person. All I'm saying is that these are the type of people he surrounds himself with, and then he wanted Chris Jones to come to DAL to live there, to work there?
That was 6 children under the age of 14. I sincerely do not understand what the frick is wrong with the man.
The child described a black mask and blue eyes.
Well, this should be pretty easy to prove. Let's check the sex offender registry and see what color Chris Jones' eyes are. Oh, well, there it is. Since we're talking about Kent Hovind, I guess I can have my own crazy conspiratorial beliefs. But to me, the facts kind of point to one thing, although I'm not accusing Chris Jones of doing anything wrong. But all this information adding up, it's very interesting, and I'll be watching to see what happens next. I think Kent Hovind needs to make a public video where he either disavows Chris Jones, or if he's not going to do that, he needs to explain why not. And I think different creators should be putting the pressure on Kent to respond to this. He can't ignore people forever.